Well, hello. I'm hoping this is going to be a short video. What you see in front of you here is a 2012 Mac Mini, upside down. I usually have this machine plugged in via KVM switch to the same monitor, keyboard, mouse setup that I use for my Mac Pro. I moved the Mac Pro from the guest room into the master bedroom yesterday. When I set up the Mini and booted it up, I noticed what I hope is a fairly small problem. So I'm hoping this is going to be a short fix. This machine should have two drives in it, a 1 terabyte SATA SSD and a 512 gigabyte SATA SSD. I know it should have those because I put them there. I find these very desirable little machines. They can be had for a very reasonable amount of money. They will run Catalina natively, no need for the patcher. They have USB 3, which is a big advantage to them. And they came with Core 2 i5 processors in the base model, which this is. If you're lucky enough to get the 4-core i7, so much the better. But I've yet to find one of those, at least at any kind of reasonable price. When I plugged this in and found there's only one drive, the 1 terabyte boot drive was showing up, so it did boot up and everything. Obviously there's a problem. My hope is that it's going to be as simple as the SATA flex cable from the drive in the upper bay, which is the one on the bottom. That's the smaller drive here, given that the machine is upside down right now. And with a fairly small amount of disassembly, I should be able to simply reattach that flex cable. Hopefully I'm not going to have to take the entire machine apart. We'll see. All right. Yeah, I have a number of these minis around. Hopefully going to be selling some of them. So to identify them, I use these Post-it notes. Okay, taking the back cover, quite easy. You have two dots here, black and white. White dot here on the back cover. Turning it thusly, and off the back cover comes. All right. RAM is so easy to upgrade, and I did put the maximum 16 gigabytes of RAM in, which will be reinserted later. All right, first step in disassembly is removing the fan. Let's turn a little more light here. All right. The fan is secured by 3 T6 Torx screws. That comes out. It attaches its power cord to the logic board. That has to be removed and set aside. Next, there's a cowling right next to that is secured by 1 T6. Thank heaven for magnetized screwdrivers. And lift this up. Indeed. I guess in moving it around, that SATA flex cable had detached itself. So it should now be as simple. I didn't even have to take the wireless antenna grid off. I just pop that right back on. These can be a kind of a pain to work with. Is that it's packed so tightly into a tiny area. When you remove the screws here, you can take the antenna grid off. Right under that are the hard drives. When they came from the factory, general, unless you configured it differently, they would come with one 500 gig hard disk that would be in the lower bay. The upper bay, which is the one on the bottom being upside down, would be empty. So what I've been doing is to take the 500 gigabyte hard drive that came with it, wiping it clean, of course, putting it in the upper bay underneath, then adding a 512 gig solid state drive on top, making really a lot of storage for what's probably going to be at best a secondary machine. With this one, since I was intending to keep it for personal use, I did 2 solid state drives and put the 1 terabyte drive. All right, so we should now be able to simply reattach everything. Okay, fan is back. Yeah, these are supposed to be captive screws. They should stay with the fan. With a lot of them they don't, but this one did. When you completely have to disassemble one of these things, you end up with screws lying around all over the place. I am going to think ahead here and put the RAM back in. Don't want the computer beeping at me when I try to boot it up. Alrighty then. Now, to get it upstairs into its place, and we shall see. I've reattached the Mac Mini. It is now in its wall mount behind the monitor, currently set to the Mac Pro. So, pressing the KVM switch and the power button on the Mini. Here's the startup chime. The boot screen. I kind of miss the boot screen. Up, we're good to go. I set the Finder to display internal drives, but just to be definite about it. Here we have a late 2012 Mac Mini at 2.5 gigahertz dual core Intel Core i5, 16 gigabytes of RAM. Messages can go hide for a minute. Yep. Okay. And particularly important, the storage. Macintosh SSD and Silicon Power SSD. All right, so for a total of 1.5 terabytes of storage. I am glad that was as simple to fix as I had thought it would be. So kind of handy, you know, I can, at the mere press of a button, go from Mojave on the Mac Pro to Catalina on the Mac Mini. And it is nice because the 2012 will run it natively. The 2011s, 2010s both have to use a patcher in order to go as high as either Mojave or Catalina. But the 2012, at least at this point, is still running it. A zillion email notifications simply because the machine has been powered down for a little while here. Okay, well, so I may do a video of a little tour of the various computers available here in the house. But for now, this was a short one. Hope you enjoyed a little look into my computer world. Have a wonderful day.